Hey guys, tonight we're going on a journey, not through bustling cityscapes or vibrant jungles, but deep beneath the ancient temples of Angkor. Imagine, if you will, the oppressive humidity of the Cambodian night clinging to your skin, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. You're standing at the foot of a colossal stone temple, its intricate carvings silhouetted against a sky that's a velvety canvas of indigo and scattered starlight. A distant, guttural croak of a bullfrog echoes from the unseen moats, and the rustle of leaves in a barely there breeze sounds almost serpentine. You can practically feel the immense weight of centuries of history pressing down, a quiet hum of forgotten rituals and whispers from the past. And as you gaze at the stoic, weathered faces carved into the very stone, you get this undeniable prickle on the back of your neck, a sense that you're not entirely alone, that something ancient and watchful stirs just out of sight. You probably won't survive this, but hey, it'll make for a great story, right? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you stand there, the cool, damp air begins to seep into your bones, and you can almost hear the soft, rhythmic drip of water deep within the earth. It's in this profound stillness, this almost reverent quietude, that the story of Angkor's true guardians begins to unfurl. Not the towering, ornate deities you see carved on every wall, nor the celestial dancers frozen in stone, but something far more primal, far more ancient. We're talking about the Naga, the giant serpent gods, who, according to legend, slumber beneath the very foundations of these magnificent structures. These aren't your garden variety snakes, mind you. Oh no, these are beings of immense power, guardians of the Earth's hidden energies, and, crucially for our sleep journey tonight, the silent protectors of the Khmer kingdom. Now, to truly appreciate the Naga's role, you have to rewind the tape a bit, long before the first stone of Angkor what was even dreamed of. We're talking about an era when the land itself was considered alive, imbued with spirits and ancient forces. The early Khmer people, much like many ancient civilizations, observed the natural world with a keen, almost reverent eye. They saw the relentless power of the rivers, the life-giving monsoons, and the destructive force of floods. And what creature, pray tell, is more intrinsically linked to water, to the earth, and to both creation and destruction than the serpent? It's no wonder these slithering, shedding creatures became symbols of renewal, fertility, and the very cycles of life and death. You see them depicted in cultures across the globe, from the Ouroboros in ancient Egypt, the Midgard serpent in Norse mythology, to the benevolent dragons of East Asia. But in Southeast Asia, and particularly in the Khmer lands, the Naga took on a unique and profoundly significant identity. Think about it. A snake sheds its skin, seemingly reborn. It lives both on land and in water, a creature of two worlds. And when the monsoons came, swelling the rivers and irrigating the rice paddies, bringing life-sustaining water, who better to embody that power than a creature of the watery depths? Historians still argue whether the earliest veneration of Naga in Southeast Asia emerged from indigenous animistic beliefs or was heavily influenced by the arrival of Hinduism and Buddhism from India. Probably a bit of both, like adding a new, spicy ingredient to a familiar, comforting dish. The Indian epics, the Mahabharata and Ramayana, are brimming with tales of powerful Nagas, often depicted as semi-divine beings, sometimes benevolent, sometimes fearsome, with multiple heads and gem-encrusted crowns. And as these religious traditions slowly, gently permeated the region, they intertwined seamlessly with existing local beliefs, creating a rich tapestry where the Naga became an indispensable part of the spiritual landscape. So, When we talk about the ancient roots stirring, we're not just talking about the foundational myths. We're talking about the very bedrock of Khmer cosmology, where the earth was not merely inert soil and rock, but a living entity, with veins and arteries, and a pulsing heart. And who resided within these subterranean chambers, these unseen arteries of the earth? The Naga. They were the guardians of the underground rivers, the keepers of precious jewels, and the embodiment of the earth's fertility. Imagine them, coiled beneath the very ground you're standing on, their scales shimmering with an inner light, their many heads raised in silent vigilance. It's a rather comforting thought, isn't it? Knowing there are these colossal, ancient beings, quietly holding everything together, making sure the ground doesn't just, well, fall apart. Though, if you're picturing a literal giant snake, that might make sleeping a tad difficult. Don't worry, these are more of the mystical, spiritual kind. Unless you've had too much coffee, then all bets are off. This deep-seated reverence wasn't just some abstract philosophical concept. It permeated every aspect of Khmer life, from the rituals of the common farmer praying for rain to the grand ceremonies performed by kings. The Naga wasn't just a symbol. It was a living, breathing, albeit unseen, presence. They were the bridge between the human world and the divine, the terrestrial and the subterranean. And as the Khmer civilization flourished, as cities rose from the jungle and temples stretched towards the sky, the Naga's importance only grew. They became central to the very identity of the Khmer people and their rulers. You'll soon see how their coiled forms became an essential motif, a protective embrace around the most sacred of spaces. It's almost as if the architects, when designing these monumental structures, were not just building for humans, but also placating, inviting, and acknowledging the unseen serpent powers below. The early kings, in their quest for legitimacy and divine favor, would often trace their lineage back to mythical unions between human and Naga beings. This wasn't just a charming bedtime story. It was a powerful political statement, solidifying their right to rule by connecting them directly to these ancient, potent forces of nature and the divine. Think of it as the ultimate royal endorsement, a seal of approval from the original inhabitants of the land. So, the concept of the Naga wasn't just about protection from natural disasters or the blessing of fertile land. It was also about the very right to rule, the very fabric of kingship. It's a mainstream historical fact that the Khmer kings often claimed descent from a mythical union between an Indian Brahmin and a Naga princess, thus blending foreign religious influence with indigenous beliefs. This gave them immense spiritual authority, which, let's be honest, is pretty handy when you're trying to build an empire out of a jungle. And it wasn't just the kings. The common folk, too, held the Naga in profound respect, bordering on awe. They would tell tales of shimmering scales seen in the moonlight, of unseen movements beneath the earth, of the Naga protecting their rice paddies from drought and their villages from ill fortune. These stories, passed down through generations, became the cultural bedrock upon which the grand narratives of Angkor were built. The fear and respect were intertwined, a deep understanding that these beings, while benevolent, also possessed immense destructive power if angered. Imagine trying to explain that to your average suburban snake owner. Oh, my pet python. He's a divine protector of our household, really. Just don't upset him, or the entire neighborhood might flood. So, as we prepare to drift deeper into the architectural marvels themselves, remember this. The colossal stone temples of Angkor, those magnificent structures that draw millions of tourists today, were not built on barren ground. They were built on a foundation of ancient beliefs, on a land believed to be teeming with unseen power. And at the heart of that power, coiled in the subterranean depths, were the silent, watchful guardians, the Naga. They are the reason these temples stand, the reason the water flows, and the reason you can now, hopefully, Feel the gentle lull of ancient history drawing you into a deep, peaceful sleep. Their story is woven into every stone, every carving, every shadow of Angkor, and it's a story that continues to stir beneath our feet even now. As your journey continues, you can almost feel the gentle hum of ancient power emanating from the very ground beneath you. It's a subtle vibration, like a distant, deep chord being struck. This sensation deepens as we delve into the core of the Naga mythos uncoiling, the foundational beliefs that cemented these serpentine beings as indispensable figures in Khmer's spiritual life. Imagine a world where the veil between the seen and unseen was thin, where every rustle in the undergrowth or glint of light on water held potential meaning. In such a world, the Naga weren't just creatures. They were manifestations of cosmic energy, embodiments of the primordial waters that, in many creation myths, birthed the universe. The most pervasive and visually striking aspect of the Naga in Khmer culture is their depiction with multiple heads, fanning out like a cobra's hood, often in an odd number, 3, 5, 7, or even 9. This isn't just an artistic flourish. Each head signifies a distinct power or protective quality. A 7-headed Naga, for instance, represents supreme protection, a kind of ultimate spiritual umbrella shielding sacred spaces and benevolent rulers. Think of it as a divine multi-tool, ready to ward off evil from all directions. This visual motif is everywhere, etched into lintels, forming balustrades, and even crowning the finials of temple roofs. It's like the ancient Khmer people were saying, "We love our snake gods so much, we're putting them absolutely everywhere." And honestly, when you consider their supposed powers, who can blame them? The Naga are not just associated with water and protection. They are also profoundly linked to the concept of fertility and prosperity. Imagine the annual monsoon rains, transforming dry, cracked earth into vibrant, life-sustaining rice paddies. This miraculous transformation was attributed, in part, to the benevolent influence of the Naga. They were believed to control the rains, to reside in the depths of lakes and rivers, and to bring forth the abundance that sustained the Khmer civilization. So, when the farmers prayed for a good harvest, they weren't just looking skyward. Their reverence extended downwards, to the unseen patrons of the earth's bounty. It's a pragmatic sort of divinity, isn't it? One that directly impacts your dinner plate. You could almost say they were the original water management experts, just with more scales and fewer spreadsheets. One of the truly quirky tidbits about the Naga is their supposed ability to shapeshift. While often depicted as giant, multi-headed serpents, legends suggest they could also take on human form, often appearing as beautiful maidens or handsome princes. This ability allowed them to interact directly with humans, leading to many of the foundational myths of the Khmer people, including the royal lineage we touched upon earlier. It adds a fascinating layer to their mystique. Are they truly just giant snakes, or are they undercover supernatural beings, casually strolling through the market, perhaps picking up some mangoes? This ability to cross between worlds, to exist in both the mystical and the mundane, further cemented their importance in the collective psyche. A mainstream historical fact that highlights the Naga's paramount importance is their role in the very founding myth of Funan, one of the earliest Indianized states in Southeast Asia, which preceded the Angkorian Empire. The legend tells of a Brahmin named Kondinya who marries a Naga princess named Soma. Their union is said to have established the first ruling dynasty of the region. This story isn't just a quaint tale. It serves as a powerful metaphor for the synthesis of Indian cultural and religious influences with the indigenous beliefs of Southeast Asia. It's the ultimate origin story, explaining how new ideas bloomed from ancient soil, guided by the very serpents of the land. However, historians still argue whether the story of Kondinya and Soma is a literal account or a symbolic narrative created to legitimize the rule of early dynasties by associating them with powerful spiritual entities? Was it a real-life cross-cultural romance, or a clever piece of ancient propaganda? The beauty of history, of course, is that sometimes the myths themselves become the most profound truths about a culture's identity. Regardless, this foundational myth underscores how deeply intertwined the Naga were with the very concept of nationhood and sovereignty in the region. As you continue to walk, perhaps through the imagined courtyards of Angkor, you might notice the recurring presence of the Naga not just as isolated figures, but as integral components of the landscape. They represent the cosmic ocean, the primal waters from which all life emerges. When you see a causeway flanked by Naga balustrades, it's not just a bridge over water. It's a symbolic bridge over the ocean of existence, leading you to the sacred mountain temple, the earthly abode of the gods. The seven heads often symbolize the rainbow, connecting heaven and earth, a visual representation of their role as conduits between the divine and the mortal realms. It's a pretty grand architectural statement, telling visitors, you're not just walking, you're embarking on a spiritual voyage, guided by these powerful, multi-headed serpents. The duality of the Naga is also a crucial element of their mythos. While largely benevolent and protective, they also possess immense destructive power. They can bring floods, earthquakes, and pestilence if angered or disrespected. This duality, the capacity for both immense good and profound harm, made them figures of immense respect and a healthy dose of fear. It's a nuanced relationship, much like humanity's relationship with nature itself. Nurture it, and it provides. Abuse it, and it can unleash its fury. So, while you're basking in the calming thought of their protective embrace, remember that you probably wouldn't want to step on one, even a mythical one. The shedding of their skin also made them powerful symbols of rebirth, regeneration, and immortality. This cycle of renewal resonated deeply with an agrarian society dependent on seasonal changes and the continuous fertility of the land. The Naga became a tangible representation of life's endless cycle, a comforting thought in a world where life could be fleeting and unpredictable. It's like a cosmic refresh button, constantly reminding everyone that even after destruction, new life will emerge. As your mind drifts deeper into this ancient world, you begin to grasp that the Naga weren't merely characters in stories. They were fundamental elements of the Khmer worldview. They embodied the forces of nature, the connection to the divine, the legitimacy of kings, and the promise of renewal. Their presence in the myths isn't just narrative embellishment. It's a profound statement about the relationship between humanity, nature, and the cosmos. And as we move forward, you'll see how these ancient beliefs were literally carved into stone, becoming the very backbone of Angkor's magnificent temples, solidifying their role as the true, silent guardians from below. You're now drifting through the very heart of Angkor, a world sculpted from stone and shadow. As your gaze sweeps across the magnificent edifices, you can't help but notice how the Naga, our ancient serpent guardians, are not just represented, but are truly woven into the very fabric of Angkor Wat's design. It's more than just decoration. It's an architectural embrace, a protective shield crafted from stone. The entire complex, in its very layout and ornamentation, seems to pay homage to these subterranean deities, almost as if the builders were literally inviting them to reside within and around these sacred spaces. The most iconic representation, and perhaps the first you'll notice, are the colossal seven-headed Naga balustrades that flank the long causeways leading up to the main temple. Imagine them now, stretching hundreds of feet, their bodies forming the railings, their multiple heads rising at either end. These aren't just fancy handrails. They are symbolic bridges over the cosmic ocean, leading the devotee from the mundane world to the sacred realm of the gods. The central temple, Angkor Wat, is believed to represent Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods in Hindu cosmology, and these Naga-lined causeways are the sacred paths to its summit. It's a pretty grand entrance, wouldn't you agree? Like walking the red carpet. But instead of paparazzi, you have benevolent serpent gods overseeing your approach. This architectural integration goes beyond the causeways. Look closely at the pediments above doorways, the lintels, and even the cornerstones of the galleries. You'll find Naga motifs subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, integrated into the intricate carvings. They coil around lotus blossoms, intertwine with other mythological creatures, and frame important divine figures. It's almost as if every architectural element whispers their name, reminding you of their pervasive presence. A mainstream historical fact is that the Naga balustrades at Angkor Wat are among the most famous examples of Khmer art and architecture, symbolizing the rainbow bridge between the human and divine worlds. Their sheer scale and ubiquity underscore their profound significance. A quirky or fringe tidbit is the theory, debated by some scholars, that the seven-headed Naga balustrades actually represent constellations or celestial alignments, subtly encoding astronomical knowledge within the temple's layout. While the primary interpretation remains their role as guardians and bridges, it's a fascinating thought that these ancient builders might have been even more clever, weaving a hidden astronomical map into their serpent god architecture. It makes you wonder what other secrets are literally set in stone. The very concept of the mountain temple, a prevalent architectural style in Angkor, finds a conceptual link with the Naga. These temples, rising in tiers, were designed to be microcosms of the universe, with the central tower representing Mount Meru. And just as mountains often have hidden caves and underground rivers, so too were these temple mountains believed to have a connection to the subterranean realms, the dwelling places of the Naga. The temple isn't just a structure, it's a conduit to the earth's powerful core, guarded by its ancient residents. Historians still argue whether the precise alignment of Angkor Wat and its surrounding features, including the Naga balustrades, corresponds to specific astronomical events or merely reflects a general cosmological understanding. Was it meticulous astrological planning, or just really good feng shui with a divine twist? The debate highlights the complex interplay between religious belief, architectural ambition, and scientific, for their time, observation in the construction of these marvels. Even the moats surrounding Angkor Wat, vast and imposing, hold a Naga connection. These aren't just defensive barriers, though they certainly serve that purpose. Symbolically, they represent the primordial ocean from which the universe emerged, or the cosmic waters associated with the Naga. The temple, rising from this watery expanse, becomes a divine island, protected by the encircling embrace of the serpent gods. It's like an architectural hug from a giant, multi-headed snake. A very, very large hug, and probably a bit slimy, if they were real, but let's not dwell on that. The use of sandstone, the primary building material for Angkor Wat, also implicitly connects to the Naga. This stone, quarried from nearby mountains, was transported to the site, often by river. The journey of the stone, from the earth's depths, where Naga reside, via water, their domain, to form the sacred structure, mirrors the Naga's journey and their connection to both land and water. The very material embodies their essence, absorbing their power as it was shaped into divine forms. Remember that sense of something stirring below, from our first section? It's amplified here. The architects of Angkor didn't just build on the land. They built with the understanding of the land's deep, mystical inhabitants. Every stone placed, every carving etched, was an act of reverence, a way to ensure the continued benevolence and protection of the Naga. The grandeur of Angkor Wat isn't just a testament to human ingenuity. It's a colossal prayer, a permanent offering to the ancient guardians. So, as you mentally trace the lines of these ancient structures, from the massive causeways leading to the grand central towers, understand that you are walking through a landscape meticulously designed to honor, appease, and invoke the power of the Naga. Their coiled forms, their multiple heads, their connection to water and earth, are not mere artistic whims. They are the very spine of Angkor Wat, the silent, omnipresent protectors whose ancient power is believed to still resonate through the hallowed stones. And as you fall deeper into this historical reverie, you might just feel the cool, steady presence of those serpent guardians, holding the world steady around you. Your inner journey continues, drawing you deeper into the tranquil, water-laced landscape of Angkor. It's here, amidst the reflective surfaces and ancient reservoirs, that the significance of sacred pool reflections truly comes into focus, intertwining with the pervasive influence of the Naga. Water, in the context of Angkor, isn't just a natural element. It's a living, breathing entity, a sacred medium, and an undeniable link to our serpentine protectors. The Khmer Empire was a hydraulic civilization, mastering sophisticated water management systems, and this mastery was deeply rooted in their spiritual understanding of water as the domain of the Naga. Imagine standing at the edge of one of Angkor Wat's massive reflecting pools at dawn. The air is cool, perhaps a thin mist still hovers over the surface, and the towering spires of the temple are mirrored perfectly in the still, dark water. This isn't just a beautiful sight, it's a deliberate act of architectural and spiritual mirroring. The reflections aren't merely optical illusions. They are believed to be windows into other realms, or perhaps even the very dwelling places of the Naga themselves. The water acts as a protective barrier, a sacred moat, but also as a symbolic representation of the cosmic ocean from which the universe, and thus the Naga, emerged. It's like the ultimate infinity pool, but instead of ocean views, you get reflections of divine architecture and the potential presence of ancient serpent gods. A mainstream historical fact is that the vast network of reservoirs, known as barays, and canals around Angkor was crucial for the agricultural prosperity of the Khmer Empire, providing irrigation for rice cultivation and managing monsoon floods. However, these were not just feats of engineering. They also held immense spiritual significance, being intrinsically linked to the fertility and water-controlling powers of the Naga. The water systems were, in essence, an extension of the Naga's benevolent influence over the land. A quirky or fringe tidbit concerns the presence of aquatic creatures within these barays and moats. While practical for food, there are local legends of unusually large, sometimes glowing, fish or eels dwelling in the deepest parts of these reservoirs, believed to be minor manifestations or offspring of the Naga themselves. You might not see them, but the idea that there's something ancient and shimmering beneath the surface just adds to the mystique, doesn't it? Definitely makes swimming a more thoughtful experience. Historians still argue whether the primary motivation for constructing such elaborate hydraulic systems was purely practical for agriculture and urban sustenance, or if the spiritual significance related to the Naga and cosmic waters played an equally, if not more, important role in their monumental scale. Was it engineering genius driven by pragmatic needs, or a grand religious endeavor disguised as infrastructure? Perhaps it was both, a perfect synergy where practical necessity met spiritual reverence. The rituals involving water were fundamental to Khmer religious practice, and by extension, to the veneration of the Naga. Kings would perform ceremonies in or near these sacred pools, sometimes bathing in their waters, to purify themselves and to invoke the blessings of the serpent gods. Water from certain sacred springs, believed to be touched by the Naga, was used in anointing ceremonies for kings, symbolizing the flow of divine legitimacy and power through their veins. It was a tangible connection to the source of life and power, directly through the Naga's domain. Think of the way rain nourishes the earth, bringing life. The Naga were seen as the conduits of this life-giving force. Their dwelling in subterranean waters meant they controlled the very essence of fertility. When you see images of Naga with multi-headed hoods, sometimes sheltering a Buddha figure, a common motif, especially in Buddhist iconography at Angkor, it further reinforces their protective, life-giving aspect. They are the ultimate umbrellas, providing shelter from the harsh sun and ensuring the flow of life-sustaining elements. The precise location of these sacred pools and berets around the temples wasn't accidental. They were strategically placed to enhance the cosmological symbolism of the temple complex, making the entire area a sacred landscape where the human world interfaced with the divine. The reflections of the temples in the water created an illusion of the heavens being brought down to earth, or perhaps the earth being elevated to the heavens. And guarding this interface, perpetually poised, were the silent, watchful Naga. As the gentle currents of this historical narrative flow around you, imagine the stillness of the water at night, reflecting the vast canopy of stars. It's in these moments of quiet contemplation that the presence of the ancient guardians feels most palpable. They are not just beneath the earth, they are within the very waters that sustain life, that reflect the heavens, and that purify the soul. Their influence isn't just a distant myth, it's a living, breathing part of the landscape, urging you to sink deeper into a state of serene awareness. The sacred pools are more than just architectural features. They are the eyes of the Naga, silently observing, eternally protecting. And as your thoughts continue to mirror the tranquil surfaces of these ancient waters, you might find yourself slipping effortlessly into the deep, calm currents of sleep. As the serene reflections of the sacred pools begin to fade from your mind's eye, a new, equally profound connection emerges, the intimate bond between kings and serpents entwined. In the grand narrative of Angkor, the Naga weren't merely revered deities or guardians of the earth's fertility. They were the very source of royal legitimacy, the mythical ancestors who bestowed upon the Khmer monarchs their divine right to rule. This wasn't just a pleasant story. It was a cornerstone of the empire's political and spiritual authority, a lineage tracing back to a time when humans and powerful serpentine beings intermingled. Imagine the king, a god-king, standing at the pinnacle of his empire, his authority unquestioned. A significant part of this unquestionability stemmed from his ancestral connection to the Naga. The foundational myth we touched on, the union of the Indian Brahmin Kundinya and the Naga princess Soma, was more than just a tale of origins. It was the ultimate royal charter. Every subsequent Khmer monarch could, in theory, trace their bloodline back to this cosmic coupling, making them not just earthly rulers, but descendants of divine, serpentine power. This gave them an almost insurmountable spiritual advantage. It's like having a birth certificate signed by a god, but with more scales and a distinct lack of bureaucracy. This intertwining of royal and serpentine power manifested in various ways. Kings would often commission temples and sculptures that explicitly depicted their connection to the Naga, solidifying their divine mandate in stone. You'd see royal processions where seven-headed Naga umbrellas would shelter the king, symbolizing the same divine protection offered to the Buddha, marking the monarch as a sacred figure. This wasn't just pomp and circumstance. It was a visible declaration of their otherworldly backing. It's almost as if the kingdom operated under a cosmic non-compete clause, enforced by giant, multi-headed serpents. A mainstream historical fact is that the Khmer concept of Devaraja, God King, was central to their political ideology, where the king was seen as a divine manifestation on earth. This concept was often intertwined with the Naga lineage, reinforcing the king's sacred authority. The Naga connection provided a profound, indigenous layer to the imported Hindu concept of divine kingship, making it uniquely Khmer. A quirky or fringe tidbit suggests that some royal rituals might have involved actual serpents, perhaps specially trained or revered, as a way to physically embody the king's connection to the Naga. While direct evidence is scarce, the persistent folklore of snake charmers and serpent handling in the region lends a certain mystical plausibility to the idea. Imagine the pressure of a state ceremony, and someone hands you a rather large, slithering snake as part of the proceedings. Talk about a public speaking challenge. Historians still argue whether the concept of the Naga lineage was primarily a strategic political tool for consolidating power and legitimizing new dynasties, or if it genuinely reflected a deep, personal spiritual belief held by the monarchs themselves. Was it brilliant propaganda or heartfelt faith? Likely, it was a potent blend of both, where personal conviction fueled political ambition and vice versa. The kings also took on the role of protectors of the Naga and their watery domains. Maintaining the vast barrays and canals wasn't just about agriculture. It was also a spiritual duty, ensuring the continued benevolence of the water gods. A king who failed in this duty, allowing the water systems to fall into disrepair, might not only face drought, but also divine displeasure from the very beings who legitimized his rule. This created a profound sense of responsibility, linking the well-being of the kingdom directly to the king's spiritual adherents. Even the architecture of the royal city of Angkor Thom, built by Jayavarman VII, deeply incorporates the Naga. The impressive causeways leading into the Bayon Temple, for instance, are flanked by long rows of deities and demons pulling on colossal Naga. This churning of the ocean of milk motif, a Hindu creation story, is reinterpreted here, with the Naga as the cosmic rope, reinforcing the king's role in maintaining cosmic order under the watchful eyes of his serpentine ancestors. It's a colossal piece of public art, constantly reminding everyone of the king's power and his connection to the very forces that shaped the universe. The very success and longevity of the Angkorian Empire, for centuries, can be partially attributed to the stability offered by this divine mandate. When the king's rule was perceived as being sanctioned by ancient, powerful entities like the Naga, dissent would have been not just political rebellion, but a spiritual transgression. This gave the monarchy an almost unshakable foundation, a mystical glue that held society together through periods of prosperity and challenge. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen from earlier? It's the same principle of finding practical use for something powerful and ancient, but on a much grander, more spiritual scale. As you allow these images of powerful kings and their serpentine kin to settle in your mind, recognize that the bond between them was more than symbolic. It was existential. The Naga were not just figures in mythology. They were integral to the identity, authority, and very existence of the Khmer monarchy. Their ancient coils literally supported the throne, granting the kings not just earthly power, but a sacred, undeniable right to guide their people. And as you continue to drift, you might feel the steady, ancient presence of these entwined powers, guiding you gently into the deepest slumber. As the imagery of entwined kings and serpents fades, your journey now takes a turn, guiding you into the elusive realm of whispers of underground realms. Beyond the visible grandeur of Angkor, beneath the meticulously carved stone and the tranquil reflecting pools, lies a world of profound mystery, the subterranean domains believed to be the true abodes of the Naga. This isn't just a flight of fancy. It's a deep-seated belief system that suggests the earth itself is alive, riddled with hidden passages, secret chambers, and vast watery caverns where these ancient serpent gods truly reside. Imagine the roots of giant banyan trees, snaking downwards, disappearing into cracks in the ancient masonry, or vanishing into the damp earth. Now, extend that image, envisioning not just roots, but vast, intricate networks of tunnels, natural caves, and perhaps even man-made conduits stretching far beneath the temple complexes. This is the realm where the Naga are said to hold court, guarding unimaginable treasures and controlling the very lifeblood of the land. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? That beneath all the tourist foot traffic and the postcard-perfect views, there's an entirely different, unseen world teeming with ancient power, just waiting for a quiet moment to reveal itself. The concept of an underworld or subterranean realm is common in many mythologies, but in the context of Angkor, it takes on a specific, powerful dimension. For the Khmer, the earth wasn't just a surface to build upon. It was a layered cosmos, with the surface world being just one aspect. Below lay the domain of the Naga, intimately connected to the earth's fertility, its seismic activity, and its hidden water sources. To honor the Naga was to honor the very foundations of existence, acknowledging the unseen forces that held the world together. It's like realizing your house has a secret, incredibly important basement that holds up the whole structure, and it's full of giant, benevolent snakes. Slightly less creepy than it sounds, usually. A mainstream historical fact is that many ancient civilizations, including the Khmer, had a strong connection to geomancy, the art of interpreting the Earth's energies and aligning structures with auspicious points. The placement of temples, especially Angkor Wat, was not accidental but deeply considered in relation to the landscape's spiritual and geological properties, implicitly acknowledging the unseen forces below. A quirky or fringe tidbit involves local legends about hidden underground rivers that supposedly connect the various moats and barays of Angkor, creating a vast, flowing network through which the Naga can travel unseen. While difficult to prove scientifically, the idea of a secret subterranean highway for serpent gods certainly adds a thrilling element to the already mysterious landscape. It almost makes you want to bring a flashlight and see if you can find a secret entrance. Please don't. Stick to the marked paths. Historians still argue whether the elaborate underground drainage and water management systems found at Angkor were designed purely for practical hydrological purposes, or if they also served a symbolic function, mirroring the mythical subterranean rivers and embodying the Naga's control over water. Was it all just plumbing, or was it plumbing with a profound spiritual purpose? Given the Khmer's holistic worldview, it's likely both elements were intricately woven together. These whispers of underground realms are often tied to the cyclical nature of life and death. The earth, where the dead are buried, is also where new life springs forth. The Naga, as guardians of these realms, were therefore also associated with the cycle of rebirth and regeneration. Their presence deep within the earth underscored their role in managing the fundamental processes of existence, the ebb and flow of life itself. It gives a whole new meaning to going back to nature, doesn't it? Think about the feeling of being in a large, ancient cavern, the cool air, the echoes, the sense of immense, silent time. This is the atmosphere evoked by the tales of the Naga's hidden homes. They are depicted not just as inhabitants, but as caretakers of these profound spaces, ensuring the Earth's stability and the continued flow of its vital energies. Their power is deep, primordial, and largely unseen, much like the tectonic plates shifting silently beneath our feet. The very choice of building materials, sandstone quarried from the earth, and the subsequent carving of these materials into divine forms, can be seen as an act of drawing the sacred power from the underground realms into the visible world. The temples themselves become extensions of the earth's deep sacredness, imbued with the power of the Naga from the very stones they are made of. It's like the earth itself is reaching up, manifesting its divine inhabitants in monumental form. So, as your mind continues its gentle drift through the silent, ancient landscape of Angkor, allow yourself to contemplate the unseen. The whispers of underground realms are not just echoes of old stories. They are a profound reminder that what we see on the surface is only a fraction of a much larger, more mysterious reality. The giant snake gods below are not just mythical figures. They are the symbolic anchors of the world, quietly holding the very foundations of existence in their ancient coils, inviting you to sink deeper into the quietude of sleep. From the hushed whispers of underground realms, your journey seamlessly transitions to the intriguing possibility of hidden passageways revealed. Imagine the vastness of the Angkor complex, not just as a collection of open-air temples, but as a labyrinth with secret arteries, known only to a select few, or perhaps to the ancient Naga themselves. While most of what we see today is exposed to the elements, the persistent tales and occasional archaeological discoveries hint at a more intricate, concealed network within and beneath these monumental structures. Consider the sheer scale and ingenuity of the Khmer builders. They moved enormous stones, sculpted intricate reliefs, and engineered complex hydraulic systems. Is it so far-fetched to imagine them creating secret tunnels, hidden chambers, or even subterranean escape routes? Perhaps not for human use in the way we might think of secret passages today, but rather as ritualistic conduits, storage for sacred artifacts, or indeed, as symbolic pathways connecting the temple's visible structure to the unseen world of the Naga below. It's like discovering that your magnificent, intricately carved antique cabinet actually has a secret compartment for every drawer. So much more exciting, right? The very structure of some temples, with their multiple galleries and interconnected courtyards, gives a sense of complexity that suggests more than meets the eye. Some researchers have speculated about hidden crypts beneath the central towers of certain temples, perhaps containing relics or even the remains of revered monarchs, guarded by the spiritual presence of the Naga. The idea that these sacred spaces might extend downwards, mirroring the visible ascent of the towers, is a compelling one. A mainstream historical fact is that archaeologists have indeed discovered hidden chambers and previously unknown passages within the temple complexes of Angkor, though many were ritualistic or structural rather than secret escape routes. These discoveries often illuminate the profound complexity of the temple's internal workings, which were designed for specific religious functions. A quirky or fringe tidbit revolves around local folklore that speaks of certain monks or ascetics in ancient times who possessed the knowledge to access hidden tunnels leading to sacred Naga abodes, sometimes found only during specific astrological alignments or lunar phases. These individuals were said to gain profound wisdom or even supernatural powers from their journeys into these unseen depths. It adds a touch of Indiana Jones, but with more meditation and less bullwhips. Historians still argue whether the occasional discovery of concealed spaces within Angkorian temples points to a deliberate system of secret passages for esoteric rituals, or if they are simply architectural features that have become overgrown or filled in over centuries, leading to their rediscovery. The line between deliberate secrecy and natural obfuscation can be a blurry one in archaeological contexts. The purpose of such hidden passageways, if they existed as a deliberate system, could have been multifaceted. They might have been used for initiation rites, where initiates would symbolically descend into the underworld, confronting the energies of the Naga before emerging transformed. They could have served as secure storage for temple treasures, guarded not just by stone and lock, but by the invoked presence of the serpent gods. Or, perhaps most profoundly, they were conceived as direct channels to the Naga's subterranean realm, places where the human and divine could most intimately interact. Recall our earlier discussion of the Naga as guardians of treasures, both material and spiritual. What better way to secure these treasures than within the earth itself, in passages known only to those with the deepest understanding of the land and its ancient inhabitants? The sense of mystery, of something hidden just beyond reach, amplifies the power and reverence for the Naga. They are the ultimate gatekeepers, not of a physical gate, but of the very threshold between worlds. As your mind settles into the stillness of the night, consider the weight of centuries pressing down on these hidden places. The air, cool and damp, carries the scent of ancient stone and undisturbed earth. You can almost feel the presence of the unseen passages stretching into the darkness, holding untold stories and potent energies. The hidden passageways, whether mythical or merely forgotten, are a testament to the enduring belief in a vibrant, complex underworld where the Naga reign. And as these thoughts gently swirl, you'll find yourself drifting deeper into the quiet, mysterious embrace of a truly restful sleep. As the notion of hidden passageways begins to settle in your mind, we now shift our focus to a different kind of subterranean force, one that truly shapes the earth, the echoes of earthquakes. It's easy to see the majestic temples of Angkor as static, timeless monuments, impervious to the whims of the earth. But beneath their grand facades, the very ground they stand upon is alive, subtly shifting, occasionally trembling. And for the ancient Khmer, these tremors, these powerful movements of the earth, were intrinsically linked to the immense, primal power of the Naga. Imagine the ground beneath your feet beginning to rumble, a low, guttural growl that reverberates through the very bedrock. Dust shivers from the temple walls, and the still air is suddenly thick with a primal tension. For a civilization so intimately connected to the earth and its forces, an earthquake wouldn't just be a geological event. It would be a profound spiritual message, a stirring of the giant serpent gods in their subterranean abodes. If the Naga were believed to uphold the earth, then their agitation would naturally manifest as seismic activity. It's a rather terrifying thought, really, that your very foundation could be shifting because a giant mythical snake is having a bad day. This belief system provides a potent explanation for natural disasters. When the earth shook, it wasn't random. It was the powerful Naga, disturbed or angered, flexing their immense power. This interpretation would have instilled both fear and reverence, prompting rituals and offerings to appease these powerful beings. It reinforced the idea that the balance of the world, and indeed the kingdom, rested on the continued benevolence of these unseen guardians. It's like having a very large, incredibly powerful, and occasionally grumpy landlord who controls everything from your water supply to the stability of your floorboards. A mainstream historical fact is that Southeast Asia, including Cambodia, is located in a seismically active region, influenced by the collision of several tectonic plates. While major, destructive earthquakes are less frequent in Cambodia itself compared to neighboring areas, smaller tremors and seismic activity would have been a known phenomenon to the ancient Khmer people. A quirky or fringe tidbit suggests that some of the Naga imagery, particularly those depicting their undulating bodies, might have been subtly influenced by the visual experience of ground waves during an earthquake, a way of visually representing the Earth's movements and the serpent god's control over them. It's a fascinating leap, linking artistic representation directly to a raw, powerful natural phenomenon. Historians still argue whether the concept of the Naga's role in causing earthquakes was a primary driver for specific temple constructions or rituals, or if it was a retrospective explanation for events that, by their very nature, defied easy understanding. Did they build to prevent quakes, or explain them? The answer likely lies in the human need to imbue the unpredictable forces of nature with meaning and purpose. The cyclical nature of the Naga, from shedding their skin for renewal to their potential for destruction, finds a parallel in the Earth's own cycles of calm and upheaval. An earthquake, while destructive, also clears the way for new growth, new alignments. This duality aligns perfectly with the Naga's multifaceted nature as both creators and destroyers, ensuring balance in the cosmic order. It's the ultimate form of tough love from your protective serpent gods. Think of the architectural resilience of Angkor's temples. Many have withstood centuries of tropical storms, floods, and indeed, seismic activity. This enduring strength could have been perceived by the ancient Khmer as a testament to the Naga's protective power, a sign that their offerings and reverence were indeed working, keeping the most destructive forces at bay. The temples, in this sense, become anchors, spiritually and physically, against the Earth's powerful movements. So, as you continue to drift, imagine the ancient builders, with their profound understanding of the Earth, shaping their world around the concept of these powerful, subterranean serpents. The echoes of earthquakes, far from being random events, were the powerful voice of the Naga, a reminder of their constant presence and immense power beneath the surface. And as the concept of the ancient Earth moving gently beneath you settles in, you'll find yourself sinking deeper into a calm, steady sleep, safe in the knowledge that even the most powerful forces can be understood and perhaps even appeased. As the echoes of seismic activity fade into the quiet hum of the night, our focus shifts from the unseen tremors to the tangible manifestations of the Naga's protective power, the guardian statues awake. These aren't just decorative elements. They are colossal, silent sentinels, standing vigil over the sacred spaces of Angkor, embodying the protective essence of the giant serpent gods. You've already imagined them flanking the causeways of Angkor Wat, but let's delve deeper into their presence and purpose. Imagine approaching a grand entrance to one of the temples. Before you, stretching for what seems like an eternity, is a wide causeway. And on either side, lining this path, are these magnificent, seven-headed Naga balustrades. Their massive, undulating bodies form the railing, culminating in a spectacular fan of multiple serpent heads, often rearing upwards, facing away from the temple as if guarding against external threats. These aren't just carved stone. They possess an undeniable, almost palpable presence, as if at any moment they might awaken and coil to life. It's like walking through a very grand, very ancient snake museum, except the exhibits are also divine security guards. These guardian statues are strategically placed at entry points, on bridges, and around crucial structures, essentially forming a protective perimeter. Their presence signifies that you are entering a sacred space, a realm under the watchful eye of the Naga. They act as cosmic bouncers, ensuring that only those with pure intentions, or at least a healthy dose of respect, proceed. The sheer number and scale of these Naga sculptures across the Angkor complex speak volumes about their paramount importance in the Khmer worldview. They are the stone embodiment of the ancient serpent power, a constant reminder of the unseen forces at play. A mainstream historical fact is that the seven-headed Naga balustrades are a ubiquitous and defining feature of Khmer architecture, particularly prominent at Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom, symbolizing protection and the bridge to the divine. Their consistent artistic representation underscores a deeply held and shared cultural belief. A quirky or fringe tidbit suggests that during certain ancient rituals, the priests might have performed ceremonies directly involving these stone Naga, perhaps anointing them with sacred oils or draping them with garlands, believing these acts would literally awaken their protective spirits and enhance their power over the surrounding area. Imagine the scene: hushed chanting, flickering torches, and the scent of incense, all directed at coaxing life from cold stone. Historians still argue whether the design of these Naga balustrades evolved purely from Hindu iconography, particularly the cosmic serpent Shisha upon whom Vishnu rests, or if there were strong indigenous influences that shaped their multi-headed form and their role as guardians of water and earth. The debate highlights the complex cultural fusion that characterizes Khmer art and religion. Beyond their protective role, these statues also serve as conduits. They channel the power of the Naga from the subterranean realms into the visible world, creating a palpable link between the sacred earth and the human endeavor. As you walk between them, you are, in essence, passing through a gateway consecrated by these serpent gods, a liminal space where the mundane gives way to the divine. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen? These naga are a much more effective and far less odorous form of protection, at least spiritually speaking. The artistic execution of these naga guardian statues is often incredibly detailed, with individual scales, alert eyes, and even expressions that seem to convey a sense of ancient wisdom and vigilance. This meticulous craftsmanship suggests not just a symbolic representation, but an attempt to capture the very essence of these powerful beings, making them feel as real and present as possible. It's a testament to the artisan's skill and their profound belief in the creatures they were carving. As your mind settles on these grand, silent guardians, picture them in the dappled moonlight, their stone scales seeming to shimmer with an inner light. They stand as eternal sentinels, reminders of a time when the line between myth and reality was wonderfully, beautifully blurred. The guardian statues awake not just in stone, but in your imagination, drawing you deeper into the protective embrace of Angkor's ancient, serpentine power, guiding you towards a serene and undisturbed sleep. From the silent vigilance of the guardian statues, our journey now rises, symbolically bridging the gap between realms as we explore the naga as a symbolic bridge to divine. It's a profound concept, seeing these multi-headed serpents not just as protectors or denizens of the underworld, but as the very connectors between the earthly human sphere and the lofty, often ethereal, realm of the gods. This wasn't just a metaphor. It was a fundamental aspect of how the Khmer people envisioned their universe, a cosmic scaffolding upon which reality was built. Imagine standing at the base of Angkor Wat, gazing up at its towering central spires, which represent Mount Meru, the abode of the gods. Now, consider the long, grand causeway leading to it, flanked by those magnificent naga balustrades. This causeway is more than just an approach. It is the symbolic bridge. The naga, with their bodies forming the railing, literally guide and support the devotee on this sacred journey from the chaotic, imperfect human world to the orderly, divine realm. They are the guardians of the threshold, but also the path itself, smoothing the transition between dimensions. It's like a VIP pass to the heavens, personally escorted by a very dignified, multi-headed serpent. This concept of the naga as a bridge extends beyond the physical causeways. In various myths and artistic depictions, naga are shown emerging from the cosmic ocean, creating a path for deities or even for the very creation of the world. They are the primordial connectors, the original architects of cosmic pathways. Their ability to move between water, land, and air in their more divine, flying forms makes them uniquely suited for this role as intermediaries, capable of traversing all cosmic planes. A mainstream historical fact is that the churning of the ocean of milk relief at Angkor, what prominently features the Naga Vasuki as the rope used by gods and asuras to churn the cosmic ocean, leading to the creation of various divine beings and essences. This epic Hindu myth, vividly depicted on the temple walls, underscores the Naga's fundamental role in cosmic creation and as a tool for connecting disparate elements. A quirky or fringe tidbit suggests that the undulations of the Naga's body in architectural carvings might mimic not just an actual snake's movement, but also the perceived wavy lines of energy that ancient geomancers believed connected sacred sites to cosmic forces. So, the bridge isn't just stone. It's a visual representation of flowing divine energy, channeled through the serpent's form. Historians still argue whether the prominence of the Naga as a cosmic bridge in Khmer art was primarily an adoption of Indian mythological elements, or if it resonated so deeply because it harmonized with existing indigenous beliefs about serpents as protectors of the land and conduits of vital energy. The enduring debate highlights the fascinating synthesis of external influence and internal spiritual landscape. The Naga's connection to water further solidifies their role as a symbolic bridge. Water is often seen as a liminal element, a medium that connects different states of being: liquid, solid, ice, vapor, clouds, and flowing as rivers that link distant lands. As masters of water, the Naga therefore master these transitions, making them perfect guides across spiritual divides. They are the ultimate ferrymen, but instead of a boat, they are the very bridge. This idea of the Naga as a divine conduit also extended to the kings, remember? Their Naga lineage wasn't just about power. It was about their unique ability to mediate between the human and divine realms, much like their serpentine ancestors. The king, by virtue of his bloodline, became a living bridge, capable of receiving divine blessings and channeling them to his people. This placed an immense spiritual responsibility on the monarch, making his rule not just a political office, but a sacred covenant. As you allow the profound symbolism of the Naga as a bridge to settle into your consciousness, imagine the vastness of the cosmos, with the human world firmly rooted in the earthly plane and the divine realms shimmering just beyond reach. It is the silent, powerful Naga, ever present, ever watchful, that provide the connection. Their ancient forms are the stable, enduring links between these worlds, guiding the flow of spiritual energy and ensuring the cosmic harmony. And as this reassuring image fills your mind, you'll find yourself effortlessly crossing the bridge to a deep, peaceful sleep. From the ethereal concept of the Naga as a symbolic bridge, our journey gently descends back to the earthly plane, focusing on the very tangible acts of reverence, ritual offerings unveiled. For a civilization that held the Naga in such high esteem, their worship wasn't merely intellectual. It was a deeply ingrained practice, involving specific rites and tangible offerings designed to appease, honor, and seek blessings from these powerful serpent gods. These rituals were essential for maintaining cosmic balance, ensuring fertility, and securing protection for the kingdom and its people. Imagine the soft glow of oil lamps flickering in the humid night, illuminating a small, reverent gathering by a sacred pool or a Naga-flanked shrine. The air is thick with the sweet scent of incense and blooming jasmine. Offerings are carefully laid out, bowls of fragrant rice, fresh fruits, perhaps even a small, beautifully crafted miniature boat filled with flowers. These weren't just gifts. They were acts of communication, gestures of respect intended to secure the Naga's continued benevolence. It's a bit like leaving cookies for Santa, but instead of presents, you're hoping for a good monsoon season and no earthquakes. The type of offerings varied, but often included elements associated with the Naga's domains: water, rice, symbolizing fertility and sustenance, and sometimes precious gems, believed to be guarded by the serpents in their subterranean hoards. Animal sacrifices, though less common in general practice and certainly not on the scale of some other ancient cultures, might have occurred in specific, high-stakes rituals, typically involving less prominent animals. The crucial aspect was the intent, a sincere desire to honor the beings who controlled the vital forces of the land. A mainstream historical fact is that offerings of food, flowers, and incense were commonplace in Khmer religious practices, both Hindu and Buddhist, directed towards various deities, spirits, and ancestors, including the Naga. These practices continue in various forms in Cambodia today, reflecting a deep-rooted spiritual tradition. A quirky or fringe tidbit from local folklore suggests that on certain auspicious nights, villagers would place small, luminous stones or glowing objects near sacred water bodies as offerings to attract the benevolent attention of the Naga, believing these would be carried away into their underwater realms as tokens of human devotion. It conjures a beautiful image of tiny lights drifting off into the mysterious depths, Historians still argue whether the precise forms and timing of Naga rituals were primarily dictated by the Brahmanical traditions imported from India, or if they integrated significantly with pre-existing animistic practices of the indigenous Khmer people. The synthesis of these influences often makes it challenging to pinpoint the exact origin of specific ritual elements. These rituals were not just about asking for things. They were also about showing gratitude and maintaining a reciprocal relationship. The Khmer believed that the gods, including the Naga, required sustenance and respect from humans in return for their blessings. It was a cosmic give and take, a symbiotic relationship that underpinned the stability of the natural and spiritual worlds. When the rice paddies flourished, or the floods were managed, it was a sign that the offerings had been accepted and the Naga were pleased. Kings, too, would perform elaborate rituals involving the Naga, often at times of major undertakings like the construction of a new temple or prior to a significant battle. These royal rites would be grand affairs, involving priests, musicians, and dancers, all designed to invoke the most powerful blessings of the serpent gods. Imagine the spectacle, the rhythmic drums echoing across the vast temple courtyards, the air heavy with devotion, all aimed at securing divine favor from the ancient guardians. The location of these offerings was also significant. They were typically placed near water sources, rivers, moats, barays, or springs, recognizing the Naga's intrinsic connection to water. Sometimes, offerings might even be floated on the water, symbolically carried to the Naga's underwater domains. It's a testament to a deep understanding of the sacred landscape, where every element of the natural world was imbued with spiritual meaning. As your mind drifts deeper, envision the timeless rhythm of these ancient rituals, the careful preparation, the respectful presentation, the quiet anticipation of divine response. These ritual offerings were not just acts. They were expressions of a profound worldview, a constant acknowledgement of the powerful, unseen forces that shaped their lives. And as the echoes of these ancient devotions settle around you, you'll find yourself slipping into a deep, serene sleep, enveloped by the quiet reverence of ages past. Having explored the tangible acts of ritual offerings, our journey now plunges deeper, back into the realm of the unseen and the legendary, as we delve into the captivating lore of the subterranean labyrinth. Beyond the known tunnels and the speculative hidden passages lies a more profound and mythical concept, a vast, unseen network of interconnected chambers and watery conduits beneath the entire Angkor complex, a true labyrinthine domain where the giant Naga are believed to reside and exert their ancient power. Imagine, if you will, not just a few secret rooms, but an entire hidden world beneath the very ground you stand on. A world of echoing caverns, silently flowing subterranean rivers, and perhaps even vast, glowing grottos where the colossal Naga coil in slumber or glide through unseen currents. This isn't just a physical space, it's a spiritual one, the source of the Earth's fertility, its seismic stability, and its hidden treasures. The concept of this labyrinth isn't just about tunnels. It's about the very arteries and veins of the Earth, pulsing with ancient, serpentine life. It's like discovering your entire city is built on top of a secret, mystical underground subway system, operated by divine serpents. Talk about a unique commute. This lore suggests that the temples of Angkor, magnificent as they are merely the visible tips of an enormous, submerged iceberg. Their foundations extend deep into the earth, symbolically connecting them to this vast subterranean network. This connection isn't just structural. It's energetic, drawing power and life force from the Naga's realm below to sustain the kingdom above. The more complex and widespread the temple complex, the more intricate the believed labyrinth beneath it, mirroring the above-ground complexity with an unseen, underworld equivalent. A mainstream historical fact is that many temple sites in Southeast Asia, including some at Angkor, feature natural caves or rock shelters that were used for religious purposes long before monumental construction began, suggesting an ancient reverence for subterranean spaces. These natural formations could have easily fueled the mythical concept of a larger, more intricate underground network. A quirky or fringe tidbit from regional folklore speaks of instances where sudden, unexplained changes in water levels in the barays or moats were attributed to the Naga shifting positions within their subterranean labyrinth, subtly altering the flow of underground rivers. It's a whimsical way to explain hydrological anomalies, attributing them to the whims of powerful serpent gods. Historians still argue whether the persistent myths of an extensive subterranean labyrinth beneath Angkor reflect a lost knowledge of actual hidden passages that have since collapsed or been deliberately sealed, or if they are primarily metaphorical representations of the profound, unseen spiritual connection between the temples and the Earth's primal forces. Is it forgotten architecture or profound allegory? Perhaps, in the ancient mind, the two were inseparable. The concept of the subterranean labyrinth reinforces the Naga's role as guardians of hidden wisdom and immense power. Access to this labyrinth, even symbolically, would grant profound understanding and control over natural forces. Only the most enlightened kings or spiritual leaders would be able to commune with these deep energies, ensuring the prosperity and protection of the realm. It's the ultimate secret society, but with less secret handshakes and more slithering. This lore also provides a spiritual explanation for the resilience of Angkor. Despite centuries of conflict, natural disasters, and abandonment, the core structures have largely endured. This endurance, in the ancient worldview, was not just due to superior engineering but to the continuous, unwavering protection offered by the Naga from within their hidden labyrinth, anchoring the temples firmly to the Earth's enduring core. As you allow your mind to wander through the silent, dark passages of this imagined subterranean labyrinth, feel the coolness of the Earth, the subtle hum of ancient power. The lore of the giant snake gods below isn't just a tale. It's a testament to a worldview that saw the Earth as a living, breathing entity, with a profound, mysterious heart. And as you sink deeper into this powerful imagery, you'll find yourself effortlessly drawn into a deep, dreamless sleep, enveloped by the quiet strength of the unseen. Emerging from the depths of the subterranean labyrinth, our journey now surfaces to examine the enduring legacy of these powerful beings, the Naga's enduring legacy in contemporary Cambodian belief. What began as ancient myths and architectural motifs has not faded with time or the ebb and flow of empires. Instead, the reverence for the Naga continues to thrive, deeply woven into the fabric of modern Cambodian culture, appearing in art, dance, religious practice, and everyday superstitions. Imagine yourself in present-day Cambodia, far from the ancient ruins. You might see a vibrant textile with a serpent motif, or a carving in a modern pagoda featuring a multi-headed Naga. You could witness a classical Khmer dance performance where dancers elegantly portray the undulating movements of the mythical serpents. These aren't just nods to the past. They are living traditions, clear indicators that the Naga's influence remains potent, a testament to their deep-rooted significance in the national identity. It's like the national symbol isn't a bald eagle or a lion, but a really, really powerful, multi-headed snake. Which, honestly, sounds far more interesting at parties. The Naga are still seen as guardians of water, protectors of the land, and symbols of prosperity. Farmers still offer small prayers or tokens to the spirits of the water, implicitly acknowledging the Naga's continued role in ensuring good harvests. Fishermen might offer a pinch of rice before setting out, hoping for a bountiful catch and safe passage on the waters, knowing the ancient serpent gods still hold sway over the rivers and lakes. This isn't ancient history. It's a living, breathing faith that continues to shape daily life. A mainstream historical fact is that despite the shift from Hinduism to Theravada Buddhism as the dominant religion in Cambodia, the reverence for Naga seamlessly integrated into Buddhist cosmology. Naga are frequently depicted guarding the Buddha, most famously in the image of Mukalinda sheltering the Buddha during meditation, solidifying their protective role within the new religious framework. A quirky or fringe tidbit involves the belief that certain individuals, particularly those born with specific auspicious marks or during unusual celestial events, are said to have a direct spiritual connection to the Naga, sometimes even possessing healing powers or the ability to foresee floods. It's a bit like being a descendant of a minor deity, complete with added responsibilities and maybe some snake-like charisma. Historians still argue whether the remarkable persistence of Naga reverence in Cambodia reflects a deeply resilient indigenous animistic substratum that predates and absorbed both Hindu and Buddhist influences, or if the syncretic nature of these religions simply allowed for a harmonious integration of the serpent deity into new spiritual frameworks. Was it survival of the fittest belief, or a cleverly adaptable one? Probably a bit of both, a spiritual chameleon. Even in modern Cambodian architecture, particularly pagodas and public buildings, you can often find Naga motifs prominently displayed at staircases, rooftops, and gateways, serving the same protective function they did centuries ago. They are a familiar and comforting presence, symbols of continuity and national identity. It's a subtle reminder that even as Cambodia modernizes, its ancient protectors remain vigilant. The Naga are also present in Cambodian proverbs, sayings, and storytelling, often conveying lessons about respect for nature, the power of unseen forces, and the wisdom of ancient traditions. Children grow up hearing tales of the benevolent and sometimes formidable serpents, ensuring that the legacy is passed down through generations, not just through textbooks, but through the vibrant oral tradition. Remember the legends of the hidden passages? Those same stories continue to echo in hushed tones around campfires and in quiet family gatherings. As you allow your mind to absorb the vibrancy of this enduring legacy, recognize that the giant snake gods of Angkor are far from being relegated to dusty history books. They are alive in the collective consciousness of a nation, silently influencing beliefs, art, and the very way people connect with their land. And as this powerful sense of continuity washes over you, you'll find yourself drifting deeper into a profound and restful sleep, cradled by the timeless legacy of the Naga. From the vibrant persistence of their legacy in modern Cambodia, we now turn our attention to the more abstract yet equally powerful notion of the unseen protectors. The giant snake gods of Angkor are not just figures of myth or stone carvings. They embody a profound belief in unseen forces that actively safeguard the world, particularly the sacred land of Angkor. This is about a pervasive spiritual presence, a quiet, omnipresent vigilance that transcends mere physical form. Imagine the jungle around the temples at night, alive with a symphony of unseen creatures, the rustle of leaves, the distant calls, the scurry of small animals. Now, overlay that with the ancient belief that within this natural symphony, and deeply embedded in the very earth, are the Naga, perpetually watchful, silently ensuring the cosmic order. They are the ultimate benevolent big brother, constantly looking out for the well-being of the land and its inhabitants, without ever needing to make their physical presence known. It's a rather comforting thought, isn't it? Knowing there's an invisible, multi-headed security detail always on duty. These unseen protectors are believed to maintain the delicate balance between natural forces, preventing catastrophic floods, ensuring the timely arrival of rains, and subtly influencing the fertility of the soil. Their vigilance is not always overtly demonstrated. Often, their protection is simply the absence of calamity, the quiet continuation of prosperity and harmony. When things go right, when the harvest is good and the rivers flow peacefully, it is often attributed to the silent work of the Naga. A mainstream historical fact is that the Khmer worldview, deeply influenced by animism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, placed great emphasis on the interconnectedness of the human world with a spiritual realm populated by various unseen beings, including devas, apsaras, and guardian spirits, of which the Naga were among the most powerful and revered. A quirky or fringe tidbit from local traditions suggests that if you stand very still near certain ancient Naga carvings at dawn or dusk, you might occasionally feel a sudden, unexplainable cool breeze, even on a hot day. This is sometimes interpreted as a sign of the Naga's unseen presence, a gentle exhalation from their deep, subterranean resting places. It's the kind of subtle sensory detail that blurs the lines between reality and mystical belief. Historians still argue whether the concept of unseen protectors like the Naga served primarily to instill social order and reinforce the king's divine authority by attributing supernatural oversight to their rule, or if it genuinely arose from a profound, intuitive understanding of nature's forces and the desire to personify them. Was it social control or spiritual insight? In ancient societies, these functions were often deeply intertwined. The Naga's role as unseen protectors also extends to the spiritual well-being of the individual. They are believed to guard against negative energies, malevolent spirits, and unseen dangers that might afflict people or their homes. A small Naga charm or a painting in a house can still be found in Cambodia, acting as a miniature invocation of this grand protective power, a tiny piece of the ancient guardian force brought into the everyday. Remember that feeling of stepping onto the causeway, guided by the stone Naga? The belief is that this guidance and protection extend beyond the temple walls into the very fabric of life. This idea of unseen protectors adds a layer of quiet dignity to the Naga mythos. They are not boisterous deities demanding constant attention. Their power is inherent, their watchfulness eternal and subtle. They are the quiet strength beneath the surface, the ancient wisdom that permeates the land, constantly working for the well-being of the world without fanfare or obvious display. As your mind settles into the profound silence of the night, allow yourself to feel the gentle, reassuring presence of these unseen protectors. The giant snake gods below are not merely characters from a distant past. They are, in the ancient and enduring belief, still there, silently upholding the earth, guarding the flow of life, and watching over you as you drift into a deep, peaceful sleep, secure in their ancient, unseen embrace. As the concept of the unseen protectors settles gently in your mind, our long journey through the ancient world of Angkor and its giant snake gods now draws to a close. We have traversed centuries, from the deep roots of their mythos to their enduring legacy, and now, we begin drifting into serpent dreams, allowing the profound mystery and quiet power of the Naga to guide us towards a deep and truly restful sleep. Imagine the last rays of moonlight filtering through the dense canopy, casting long, shifting shadows across the ancient stones. The air grows cooler, and the jungle chorus softens into a gentle lullaby. You are no longer merely observing. You are becoming part of the landscape, your senses attuned to the deep, silent rhythms of the earth. The monumental scale of the temples, once awe-inspiring, now feels comforting, their ancient presence a steady anchor in the vastness of time. The Naga, our constant companions on this journey, begin to recede from sharp focus, their forms blurring into the very essence of the earth itself. They are no longer just multi-headed serpents or carved balustrades, but the quiet, deep pulse of the land, the steady flow of unseen rivers, the timeless wisdom held within the ancient stones. Their guardianship isn't a duty, it's an inherent state of being, a perpetual hum of protection that resonates beneath everything. You can almost feel the gentle undulations of their colossal, invisible bodies beneath the ground, softly rocking you towards oblivion. The grand narratives of kings and gods, of cosmic churnings and sacred water, now blend into a seamless tapestry of quiet understanding. The mainstream historical facts, the quirky tidbits, and the scholarly debates all dissolve into the soft, comforting certainty that something ancient, powerful, and benevolent resides at the core of this world. Historians will still argue their points, but for now, those debates fade into the background, like distant echoes in a vast, quiet chamber. Allow your breath to deepen, slowing with each passing moment. Feel the gentle weight of your body, sinking deeper into whatever surface holds you, mirroring the Naga's own deep rest within the earth's embrace. The imagery of the subterranean labyrinth, once a place of intriguing mystery, now becomes a symbol of secure, hidden tranquility, a perfect space for undisturbed slumber. There are no more worries about survival, only the quiet acceptance of ancient peace. Remember that smooth, seamless narration you've been listening to? Now, let that same seamlessness draw you down, into the realms of sleep. The reflections on sacred pools, the whispers of underground realms, the echoes of earthquakes, all these elements merge into a singular, calming sensation. The Naga, protectors of water and earth, now protect your sleep, ensuring a peaceful transition into dreamland. Their 7 heads, once symbols of formidable power, become the soft, fanning leaves of a celestial palm, gently fanning away any lingering thoughts or anxieties. Let your consciousness drift, like a leaf on a slow-moving river, carried gently by the currents of ancient history and serene mythology. The final imagery of Angkor's silent, powerful guardians remains, not as something to analyze, but as a calming, pervasive presence. They are the silent anchors of the world, holding everything steady, including your descent into profound rest. The gentle murmur of the night outside, perhaps the soft hum of a fan, becomes part of this final, soothing narrative. It's the soft, rhythmic sound of the world breathing, exhaling the day's stresses, and inviting you into the quiet embrace of slumber. The Naga, eternally watchful, are now watching over your dreams, ensuring they are filled with peace and tranquility. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to worry about. Just the quiet, steady presence of the giant snake gods below, holding you secure. Let the ancient energy of Angkor's unseen protectors guide you now. Close your eyes, if they aren't already. Feel the deep, deep calm. You are safe, secure, and surrounded by the ancient, benevolent power of the Naga. Their whispers are now the soft rustle of leaves, fading into silence. Their presence, a gentle, comforting weight. Drift,